So this is how I flatten a comb. The most important part of flattening the comb is having a good reference. I make them in pairs, in sets of 2 or 3. I measure their flatness by shining a light and looking for cracks of light, see when they're not perfectly together. So you hold on one end, you hold on the other, turn it around just to make sure that you're not, one's not compensating for the other, but it's perfectly flat. You change your grip back and forth to lever it back and forth to leverage it on the left and right, and so you know that your reference is flat. Now this is a surface plate, it's very flat, but this doesn't need to be at a perfect level of flatness. Just the other day I was working with a fellow showing him how to flatten combs, and we used bamboo cutting boards from the dollar store. So what determines flatness is your reference. Now this is what you do. So this is a comb, comes off my mill. I've cleaned up the perimeter, but I haven't worked on the flatness, which is the important part. You can do this on a manji comb. You can use it on a Marine Bend 1896 comb, crossover comb. The 1896, you're going to have to seal the wood after you've sanded it down. The manji comb, you don't have to seal it, or the crossover laminated bamboo either. So this is what we're going to do. I've used a variety of different devices to hold the comb in place, and I've just come up with a more simple. What I'm using these days is a much simpler solution. Is I just take my straight edge, which has a big enough surface to push down on the comb and to apply pressure, distribute the pressure along the comb. So I turn it till it feels smooth, and then I'll spin it in the other direction. Again, I'm distributing the pressure with this device. Flip it upside down, do the other side. There. All right, now we're going to measure, I'll just show you this way. We're going to measure flatness over here on this end. We're going to measure flatness along the tines, in the middle of the tines, and then between every single tine, we're going to check flatness against the light over here. And as I do this, I'm going to apply pressure on one end and then apply pressure on the other, and look to see if that reveals anything. And that's half of the battle. The other half is, what do you do if it's not flat? So let's hope this is not. Sometimes you'll get it perfectly flat just by sanding it this way, but not always. So what do you do if it's not flat? So here we go. Let me just adjust my camera here. So I'm looking, and I don't see any air creaking out one side or the other, on one side or the other. Let me flip this around. I'm looking at every single tine. Shift my grip. Nothing. Let's go along. I'll just do a quick look with my own eyes. So here you can see the view. This is perfectly flat. I'm having trouble seeing through the camera at the same time, so let me just skip ahead. I'm going to check every one of them, but let me just skip ahead. This one, it's safe to say it's flat all along of this surface. So I'm going to flip the comb around, and hopefully it's a little crooked. Oh, okay, good. So let's take a look here. You see there's a little crack of light. Let me apply pressure here and take the pressure off on this side. Whoa. So it seems a bit lopsided. Let me look with my own eyes here. It seems like the fulcrum point is right here. So let's take care of that. I'll put my finger on where I think the point of pressure needs to be. And I'm going to realign my camera down to the surface plate. So we think the fulcrum point is here. I'm just going to apply a little bit of pressure and go back and forth. Not very much, and maybe just a little bit on the tips too. And let's go back and measure. So that has taken we're about almost halfway, so let's do that again. It was a little bit more aggressive here. Take a quick gander. Again, I did about halfway. I think the fulcrum point was more, what was left to do was more in the center there, so let me show you now where we're at. This is a great example of the work you need to do. So here, that looks good to me. Whoop, there might be a little crack of light there. I'm just going to do one more pass. So we are, there's just a hair of light. That's all taken care of. Wiggle it back and forth. So now let's flip the comb around. Let's look at the tines. This should be interesting because there was a little wave along the comb, and let's see if we took care of it. I see, it's going to be hard to see, there's a little bit of light here, but the tips of the tines, this tine is still touching. So that's pretty good. That's pretty good. I mean, the tips of the tines are all touch. Well, there's a little bit. Yeah, maybe there's a little bit of a gap. So I'm going to lower these tips, okay? So the middle tips, and I'll do them one at a time. Just the tip, just lightly. Just gonna check so I don't have to go back and forth with the camera. I think that got it. Look at that. Maybe there's just, it's not really much to speak of. Let's look at the middle now. See how that does. That looks pretty good to me. Now, most importantly is this angle. So, have the tines, are they still airtight? So there's that view, and then that view. Looks good. That and that. Does that look good? I have to look at it with my own eyes. Let me just skip ahead. This is a... See, this one has a little bump in the middle. I'm going to press on this side and see. Okay, so the bump to me is more in the front of the tine. So let's deal with that. Okay, so that's here. Clean that tine up. I'll just take a quick look with my own eyes. Yeah, so we're about halfway done that one. One more quick pass. You measure, you repeat, you make a change and you measure again. I like to take small steps and not overshoot, because in the long run that's the quickest way. This one's stubborn, which is fine. So I'm very happy with this. I've loosened my there you go. I hope you appreciate how technically difficult this is. I apologize. So there, and I'm going to switch the grip, and there's no light. And moving it on, and so on and so forth, up. I'm checking each one as we go. And so this now is flattened to a pretty good degree. I'm going to finish the tips of the tines, and once they're finished, I mean, they look like, let me get a better view here, so they look dull. I'm going to basically take down every corner and make a nice chamfered edge on each and every tine. Both sides. So you can see that that's a nice, right, chamfer. So, and then I lacquer them so that they're nice and comfortable. And when you're done the lacquering, you can see that shiny little, there's little drips of lacquer on the sides. So once the lacquering is finished, the next day I'll come by and I'll do another pass, flattening and rechecking, get the right side, rechecking every possible area along the comb, check and one side and the other side, and that's basically how you do it. It doesn't really rely on high-tech fancy equipment other than your reference straight edge. And these are a royal pain to make. They take a lot of time and energy, and you have to flatten them, put them aside, and then come back to them and check. But they're made with using the same technique of using lapping, which is removing the material to make them flat. So the key is it's relatively low tech but high precision, flatness, and then just a lot of work and a lot of attention not to overwork and overshoot the mark. Thank you very much.